Well, I'd like to welcome everyone again to the Friday update meeting for the Forever Green Initiative. And most of you know that the Forever Green Initiative is kind of an umbrella and basically invites all the folks that are doing work on the development of cropping systems that provide a continuous living cover and the opportunities to make that happen. And it has nothing to do with whether Forever Green funds it or not. It's designed as a place to come to have the conversation and present the work that folks are doing to make the connections and also learn about the resources that are available through that umbrella for state and federal funding that's available to help support the work that folks are doing. So each week we open it up for input, updates that anyone has they would like to present to the group, so everyone is aware of things that are coming up, things that are going to be happening or have happened recently. So I'll just open it up to everyone online and in the room right now. Well, the biggest update that I have is that we had a very nice tour for our legislative partners, we hope. Those that are considering funding for the Forever Green Network in this legislative session. And as it turned out, we had great representation from the Senate Ag Committee. And they arrived here at 10:30 day before yesterday, Wednesday, and spent time with us all the way to about 2 o'clock. So the intention in January, this meeting was being set up, is that we would have a field tour. Well, it didn't work out that way, but everyone put a program together showing the plants that are in the greenhouse, and I think for me it was a great event. Went really well, and I think it was an opportunity to show the legislators that arrived exactly what's going on and where the plant material comes from for all of the projects that are currently underway. I got in some of my conversations with the legislators, they're basically saying, coming and seeing this makes it all real. And the thing that made it even more real, and what I found over the years, is if you serve them a meal that comes from the products that are under development. And I think that model has always worked really well for us. And we did it for the first time for Dayton. Governor Dayton came over and we went through the field tour, and you could just see the excitement grow. We took him back to Cargill building and served him a meal. You could just see all at once that connection between the research that they saw in the field and the connection of food to real people. That's a model that we've been using in a lot of our presentations to make sure that they see all the way from basic genomics to a food product that you can eat. Has been the model we've tried to follow, and I think it was well received again this last week. They were only supposed to stay an hour and a half, but like I said, they stayed until about 2 o'clock. Right? But we did have bang beer. Are there any other things that you need to bring up? Jake, anyone? Kevin? Kelly? All right. So if there aren't any other items to bring up today, I would like to turn it over to Dr. Lee to take over, introduce her team, and present the work that they are doing out at the USDA research site in Morris, and the work that they're doing on developing the hybrid rye system with that economic pull of taking the seed and moving it into feed for swine. So I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Dan. And thank you everyone for having me today. I'm really grateful for the opportunity. So I said we probably, I can't see who's on the Zoom right now, but I think we should have Melissa Wilson on the Zoom, and Bill Lazarus also should be here, and Joe Tullochson from Morris should be on the Zoom. So they are all on the, yeah, I saw Joe, I saw Joe, I saw Bill, and I haven't seen Melissa yet. But anyway, they're all on this project. So that's Melissa, okay, probably. Right. Okay, so I do have a back, support team here. First thing, a little bit about myself. I'm a faculty here in Morris. WCRC, we call research, Vice Central Research Outreach Center. So it belongs to CFAS. It's not USDA. It's a university.
Why did I say that? I'm
so
sorry.
So I also belong to the Department of Animal Science. So I work on a swine behavior welfare and also alternative organic swine production. So basically I'm the pig person. And Lee Johnston here always say there are only two kinds of people in the world. One is people who work with pigs. Another is people who don't work with pigs. So I think I definitely speak to another group today. So I've been here for 17 years already. And I think, when talking to people who do not work with pigs, I probably will not talk a lot. I try not to talk a lot about pigs. But today, I think I have two goals. One is talk about a collaboration between animal scientists, maybe swine scientists, because I'm the pig person. The swine scientists with collaboration between swine scientists and agronomists. And I think through this project, we probably can demonstrate how we can collaborate together and develop some new project or exciting project. That's one goal I'm going to target today. Another thing is to talk about this project. So I think I probably go. First of all, this project is funded by USDA OREI, Organic Research Extension Initiatives, in 2021. So it's a 3-year project. The title is Integrating Hybrid Rye as a Winter Annual Crop into Organic Pig Production. So we started the proposal, the idea of the proposal actually we had Jared Goplan here years ago, 2 years ago. Jerry came to my office to talk about hybrid rye. And at that time, I think Jerry wanted to find a market for his small grain producers. And he said, we can use hybrid rye to feed your pigs, and then my farmers will be able to market the hybrid rye they produce. And he talked about all the good thing about hybrid rye. I knew nothing about hybrid rye, and said, yeah, maybe that's a good idea. So I just had that in my mind and never really put anything into action. But later I'll talk about how this project came along. So basically this project started with Jared Goplan, the agronomist. And then when during the development of the project, so we know hybrid rye is kind of winter crops and there's an environmental benefit, and we also want to know the economics. So Joe Tullochson, came on board, and Bill has been on my project, on my organic project for several years. So Bill is the economist. So Bill is on board, and then Lee Johnston is the swine nutritionist here. So he made the diet for pigs. So he came on board. And then when we were discussing about agronomy part, and then I want to have some research component in this proposal. And then eventually Jerry said, so we probably should do something about manure application. And then Melissa came on board. So Melissa really joined us later during the process when we developing the proposal. And actually Melissa designed the small plot trial. So she will talk about the results for the first year later. And then we also want to know how rye affect meat quality. And that's why Ryan Cox, the meat scientist, came. And then Kurt Reese is the farm manager here, planting, harvesting the crop. And Diane is the extension educator, especially in swine. And we have 2 graduate students working on. So you can see the list of the team. Basically, we have swine team, we have agronomy team, and environmental economic team. So we have 3 teams, and Diane lead the extension effort, but everyone joined the extension effort too. So we have 5 objectives of this project. It's all listed here. Basically, the first one is, I don't know whether I can do this, whether that affect you or not. The first one is the agronomy part. So basically, Melissa, Jared. After Jared, you probably all know Jared left. After Jared, I bring Axel Garcia from Lamberton, replace Jared. And Kurt is also part of it. So the second part is the pig feeding trial. So basically, myself, Lee, and Ryan, and also our graduate student working on this project, on this objective. And then the next 2, basically Joe and Bill works on this. So this is the environmental economic impact of the project. So any questions about that, I think Joe and Bill are here. I would direct those questions to them. And finally is the extension effort. So any question you can ask, I'm not sure whether you understand me. I do apologize for my accent. So I hope you understand what I'm talking about.
We can understand you completely. You're doing.
Oh, thank you, Don. You are very kind. So, and then I think I mentioned a little bit how we developed the project, a proposal for the project. I said, Jared talked to me about that, and I didn't put it into any action until I had another organic swine project, and we visited a organic swine farmer in Iowa. And the photo you see here, the farmer is Tom Franzen. He's a very well-known organic farmer, especially growing organic pigs. So we went his farm, basically collect fecal samples on his pig farm, and I didn't expect anything to visit a field or whatever, but he's so proud of his hybrid rye. So he brought us to his hybrid rye field, and this is organic hybrid rye. So basically he used hybrid rye to feed his pigs and also use the straw as bedding. And also he presented kind of on farm trial at organic farmer conference. And looks like he has been doing that for several years. And in certain years, he failed, in certain years he's okay. But, with the small sample, the small number of pigs he has, he can never get any conclusive results. So, and then I think we can do a better job. We have more pigs here. And then another thing I want to mention is our alternative swine facility was certified for organic production in 2022. So we've been working on that for 2 years, and our facility was certified last year. And we are the only certified organic swine facility in the land grant universities in the country. So we are the only one. So that's why we can get this OREI grant funding. So that's basically, Tom's idea. And I thought about Jared comments. And then I said, yeah, maybe we should do something about hybrid rye. So for organic pig production, the major challenges are high price of organic feed. And another thing also is high price of organic bedding. And here we buy organic corn, organic soybean meal, and organic straw. They're all expensive. So farmers, they try to deal with those challenges by using alternative feed ingredients to corn and soybean. And regardless what is cheaper, they try to use it. And another thing, the organic farmers do is they grow variety of crops to feed their pigs. They use those crops to feed their pigs. And they also emphasize crop rotation. I'm not in that world, I don't understand, but they definitely do not like corn soybean rotation only. They have other things, because I have been visiting organic farms across states. So to deal with the bedding, they try to grow small grains, and then they can harvest the straw as well. But one thing I also realized that when they find alternative feed ingredients, they usually ignore how those alternative feed ingredients affect pig performance. Because if pigs feed on those alternative feed ingredients do not grow well, eventually they probably will not make money, but lose money. But hybrid rye probably is a good alternative feed ingredient. That's why we're kind of interested in hybrid rye and develop this proposal. So here's a slide I want to show. It further emphasize, alternative ingredients is not all good or valuable or feasible to feed pigs. So Lee gave, this slide, the right part of the slide I adopted from Lee's slide. Basically, he said you can't just add any ingredients because it's cheap. You really should evaluate the ingredient based on how much profit you can get per pig marketed, or per body weight, per pound of body weight the pig gain. So that's a better measure in terms of evaluating feed ingredients cost, rather than, oh yeah, oats are cheaper than corn, I will use oats. But if pigs do not grow, oats probably can be expensive. And our lesson, the lesson we learned from our Camelina study, probably, I'm not sure whether anyone in this room knows that I also did a Camelina study, which was, hello, Don, you were going to say something?
I was just said, yeah, those of us in this room would know that.
Okay, that's good. And I want to say that project was a collaboration with Frank Vasila. Frank was our advisory committee here in Morris. And, just a conversation with Frank, and we developed the Camelina project. It was also funded by USDA. So I want to say both projects were funded by USDA because the collaboration we had with agronomists.
So you know, Frank's in the back of the room today.
Oh, wow. So I should say Frank was the first one to inspire me to collaborate with agronomists. I never thought about that. I always work in the pig barn, look at pigs, and even never look at the feed bin. never went to the field. And Frank, during our advisory committee meeting, and Frank was sitting next to me, and he said, he talked about camelina. I knew nothing about camelina, and he said maybe we can feed camelina meal to your pigs because we have 70%, 80% of camelina meal from the camelina we harvest, and we only get 20% or less oil, and after that is meal or camelina cake, and we have nothing. We waste it, and I said, yeah, let's do it. So at that time, I knew nothing. I never seen camelina. I knew nothing about camelina, but we wrote the proposal and it was funded by USDA. But anyway, through that project, I learned that camelina meal is not great for pigs because they don't like it. I can smell it. And pigs are very sensitive to the smell. They are very smart, I think. So they don't eat. Basically, we see when we add 10% camelina meal in the diet, we see about 7% reduction in feed intake. And we see about 5% reduction in average daily gain. So when pigs do not eat, they do not grow. And then to reach the same body weight, because they grow slower, we have to keep them longer to reach the same market weight. To do that, we need to keep pigs 5 more days. And that 5 more days need 25 pounds per pig more feed. So that's an example of bad feed ingredient or not good feed ingredient, alternative ingredient. So if it's doesn't support pig growth performance, it probably even costs more.
To bring up a point, just to bring up a point on that, we have a faculty member here you may know, Bohu, in biosystems engineering, that is trying to improve the quality of that meal through the fermentation process.
Don, actually, I was at Hu's presentation when he presented.
Okay.
And I understand he's still kind of doing that in the lab, right? It's not really a large scale yet.
No, that's right. So he's taking the germplasm that's coming out of the breeding programs, and it's really diverse yet. Well, he'll be looking at the germplasm that's coming out of the base program and looking at whether or not that can modify the meal to make it more appropriate for livestock feed.
Sure, and I believe the fermentation will the fermentation also degrades the glucosinolase, right?
Right, and that's probably where the smell's coming from.
Right, that's why our pigs, we also weigh the liver of the pigs, and we found the liver was larger, heavier from the control pigs.
I just want to bring that link up. So just as we look out into the future, that as this meal is being modified, we hope
right.
Think about maybe running another feeding trial somewhere down the line.
Yeah, so I think if, by fermentation or whatever, if we can still keep the price relatively low, I think definitely we can try in pigs.
Bo has promised that the process would be really, really cheap.
Yeah, exactly. So, that's why we do hybrid rye, because hybrid rye is a good alternative ingredients for pigs. First of all, we use hybrid rye as energy ingredient. Although hybrid rye has a little bit more protein compared to corn, but the protein is not great. We talk about essential amino acid, lysine, like say, it's not great. So we use hybrid rye as an energy ingredient. So compared to corn, hybrid rye has about 92% energy. So which is higher than barley and oats. A lot of people, I know some organic farmers, they use oats. So hybrid rye definitely has more energy than oats, but lower than the energy in wheat. And also hybrid rye has intrinsic phytase, which is an enzyme we probably all know in this group that can increase the phosphorus digestibility in pigs. And phosphorus promote bone health and growth, probably also promote the immune function of the animal. So that has some benefit, especially for organic pigs, because we cannot use synthetic phytase in organic pig production, because synthetic phytase is kind of product of GMO, and GMO is prohibited in pig production. And when the intrinsic phytase will also help with some phosphorus in the manure, to reduce the phosphorus in the manure. So which is another aspect we will be looking at in this project. And some, I said this is a 3-year project, so we are still in the 2nd year right now. So the project started September 2021. So we grew hybrid rye in our organic land in 2021, and you can see the planting day was September 27th. I think we probably wanted to plant it a little bit early, but we cannot get into the field. It was wet, and later it was I don't remember. We couldn't. I think we wanted. Melissa is there, could correct me. But anyway, and then we swapped the next year, July 19th, and then 3 days later, or 5 days later, we combined. So this seeding rate is based on the recommendation from the company. We got the organic seed from Arbor Lee. That's the KWS, is that right? KWS. So that we planted 17 acres. And here's the picture I took during 2021 and 2022. So the very first picture is the one I took 2 weeks after planting. The rye unit just came up very fast. And then the picture in the middle is the next spring after the, you can see some winter kill. And I was kind of disappointed, say, last year was beautiful and now it's not, whether we'll have high yield. And the last picture on the right was taken 2 weeks before harvest. And the rye looks great 2 weeks before the harvest. So, and then, after we swath it, I pick up some rye stems with the head on. So I bring it to my office and I measure. Basically, the hybrid rye stem kind of is 4 feet tall, and the head is about 4 inches on average, roughly. I know that's not scientific measure at all, but that's my measurement. And so the yield, we harvest about 1,700 bushels on that from that 17 acres at the time at the moisture is 13%. So the average yield is 104 bushel per acre. And I think it's pretty good, especially thinking about it's organic. So from the conference I've been attending, looks like they talk about 100 to 120 bushel per acre for hybrid rye. But some people, I think organic farmers talking about 80 to 100 bushel per acre. And then in terms of straw yield, we harvested 136 large bales straw, and you can see the truck that's from, I took this picture from a little bit far away in my car. So which averaged 8 large bales per acre. And my student went to weigh the bales, and each on average weigh about 450 pounds. And just give you some idea about what that 8 large bales per acre straw really mean. And the basically in our growth finishing barn, growth finishing pigs means when they are kind of 30 pound from, they are 30 pound all the way to almost 300 pound when they are 8 weeks old. So we use 1 bale for 2 pigs, or every pig need half bale straw bedding during that growth finishing period.
How much is a bale worth in the system? What's the what is the value of that? That 400?
That's so the organic straw we bought here is $150 per ton. And that basically that's 4 bales, a little bit more than. So basically we produce 1.8 ton per acre. So if we sell it, we can sell it for $270. Does that answer your question, Don?
Yeah. Yes, thank you.
Okay, thanks. So the next slide, I'd like to invite Melissa to talk about. This is the result of the small plot trial. Melissa, are you there?
Yep, I'm here. So we did small plots. One of the things with organic is you can't use fertilizers. So we had to figure out how to use different manure sources for the production system. So we actually used 3. We have a liquid swine barn. This is actually from conventional swine barn. In organic systems, you don't have to use organic manure, or you can use conventional manure. So we used liquid swine manure from their conventional barn. We use solid swine manure from their organic production system. So this has bedding in it, so it's considered a solid. And then we used a composted swine manure, which was from the same pile as the solid manure. We just composted it. Now, the one fun thing about manure is that it's not fertilizer. Unfortunately, the different manure sources will release the nutrients differently. So we took that into account. We made certain expectations about what nitrogen would be released over time. And we adjusted our rates for application to make sure we had the same plant available nitrogen from all the different nitrogen sources across the season. And then we wanted to test different rates. So we had big strips. Each strip of the rye had different manure sources. And then we had different rates kind of within that strip, from 0 up to 240 pounds of plant available nitrogen. So we went really high just to kind of see what happens. Like I joke with all of our farmers, we do dumb stuff so you don't have to. So we went really high because we know that that can potentially impact negatively the yield. So we applied this all by hand before planting, incorporated it pretty quickly after application, and then planted our rye. And this is the yield results then the following year. So you'll see across the bottom, we have composted manure. This is the composted solid swine manure. We have the kind of what we call raw solid swine manure. So that wasn't composted, but it was stockpiled. So it's just put in a pile for some time. And then we have the liquid swine manure in that last box there in the kind of grayish bars. And then we have our different rates from 0 to 240 pounds of nitrogen. And above each bar, I have different letters. The different letters, if a bar has a different letter than another bar, that means it's statistically different. So overall, the first thing you'll probably notice is that at the higher rates, our liquid swine manure had the highest yields. This is likely because liquid swine manure has more rapidly available nitrogen. And it was also a really dry year, so we don't know if the liquid portion of that helped with germination or something like that too. So there's kind of maybe multiple things going on there. But both our composted and solid manures did not yield as high, even at the higher rates. And obviously, increasing nitrogen rate tended to increase the yield as well. We did see about 120 pounds of nitrogen is probably about where we maxed out for yield. That's about what is recommended, at least by KWS and Albert Lee Seed House right now. So that was about what we expected. The composted and solid actually they maxed out different places, but statistically they didn't yield differently than 60 pounds of nitrogen. So there's a couple things going on there. We think the composted and solid probably did not release as much nitrogen as we expected. That's something we'll need to make adjustments on. And also because they both have bedding in them, they may have even actually tied up some nitrogen too over the growing season. So it's definitely differences that the different farmers are gonna need to work out. But you'll notice our yields are well within what we saw in the bulk field. For the liquid rye, liquid swine manure, we got about 100 bushels per acre. And then we actually got about 80 with the composted and solid. And a lot of the organic farmers are seeing about 80 as well. So we're wondering if it's a manure source issue in this case. So that's kind of what we did for the first year. We just started this past year. We have it in the ground now. They just got another bunch of snow, so we don't know when we'll see it again. Or if it winter killed or got ice sheets under there. So we're hopefully repeat it this year and see what happens.
What was the fertilizer or the nutrient source for the large field?
For the large field, it was the liquid swine manure as well.
Liquid,
Yeah.
I see, so yeah, it does match.
Experiencing lodging at those higher end rates?
I did not see any. We were only there probably that 2 to 3 weeks before harvest though. So I don't know what happened after then, but they didn't, the people who harvested didn't say anything. So yeah, we actually didn't see much.
Second question is so the plant's available and there's an assumption that some is gonna become available in the compost and the solid.
The next year.
Yeah, is there an assumption or even later that year or is it the next year?
Potentially, it depends on how late the fall goes.
Okay. And that's probably why there's some differences in yield response to that specific end.
Theoretically,
Yeah.
we planned it so that they should be releasing the same amount. So there should have been a lot more nitrogen applied with the compost.
Yeah.
We just assumed a lot less is gonna be available.
And maybe some of that, not as much got available as
Yeah.
you assumed.
With the dry years
Maybe
too.
why there's
It-
lower entry.
That's probably one of the big issues, is that it was so dry, it just wasn't able to release as quickly because the soil microbes were moving as fast.
How much inorganic nitrogen is in the liquid? Like, what is that fraction that?
I can't remember this specific swine manure, but on average, we're seeing about 25 or 75% inorganic and 25% organic. Versus where we see our solids, it's usually more like 25 to 50 or 15 to 25 is the inorganic and the rest is organic. So it's a huge difference.
Yeah.
These hybrid ryes are pretty short and they're really strong straw.
Yeah.
So I'm just looking at Yoakum's ratings of them. He has the straw strength of 2 KWS ones as a 1 and a 1 to 9 scale. Which is really
Does he have plant height in there too?
not, it's a rating of plant height, but
Okay.
they're by far shorter than the open pulp.
I don't know anything about small grains, but when I was in the field, they were chin high and some were actually like, I was eyeballing
Being that tall, you think.
Well, Yeah, that's really good straw strength that they can handle that much nitrogen. Yoakum's gonna be on next week talking about.
I don't remember, the schedule's changed, so I don't know.
I think he's next.
I think it's back to you, Yuzhi.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Melissa. So we talk about the pig trial. Basically, we use the rye harvested and to replace 50% corn in the pig diet. So we did 2 groups of pig trial. One group means they were born within a week. So we had the first group in September, and then we have the second group in November. So the 2 groups has 10 weeks in between. So each group we had 100 pigs, and then we put the 100 pigs in one whole barn, 50 pigs in one pen, 50 pigs in another pen. So one pen is control pen, another pen is a treatment pen. The treatment pen has a rye grain in the diet, replacing 50% corn, as I said, and they are also bedded with rye straw. So the control pen basically is corn soybean control diet and bedded with this organic straw we purchased. So we did 12-week the feeding trial, starting when pigs were 50 pounds. We gave them 2 weeks adaptation period, and then over that 12 weeks, they gained about 200 pounds. So end up at 250 pounds. So the preliminary data, we haven't conducted any statistical analysis because we only have 2 groups. So basically the pen is experiment unit. So the 2 groups data basically showed there's no difference in growth performance in terms of feed intake, average daily gain, final weight. And we also did meat quality data collection, and we didn't find difference there too. We are going to do a taste panel. We haven't yet. We'll see how people say about the taste of pigs.
What were the
So-
carcass traits? What were the carcass traits other than taste that will be evaluated? Fat content, that type of thing?
Yeah, so we measure the back fat, we measure the pH, 24 pH, the 45 minutes after slaughter of 24, because pH is related to the water holding capacity. And we also do the shear force. Basically, measure the toughness, the tougher or of the pork. We also look at the color, and the dripping loss, chilling loss. Those are kind of a water holding capacity. So color, toughness or tenderness kind of thing. Those are kind of measurement we collect, use the equipment or whatever. So there's no human, consumer or people's taste panel yet. So that's the only thing. We are going to do that this summer. We are going to cook out the rye pork versus control pork here. We won't let people know, and we want to see what people say. It's not scientific. We'll do scientific way too, but that's a way to thank people, working on the project. I think anyone in this group is welcome if you could come. We don't know which day yet, sometime before the field work start. That's our plan. Any other questions? There?
I was just going to ask this so the analysis of the carcass traits that you just described, those have already been done?
Mhm.
Age, all that, yeah.
So
There's no
we-
difference.
we pick up 8 pigs from each pen. We cannot do everybody. We cannot collect every carcass data on every pigs here. But at the slaughter, because we sell the pig, I probably should move on to the next. This is a market pigs, they are very meaty. So, and you can also see the straw bedding, because I talk about straw usage, and we use a lot of straw compared to, but to answer your question, Don, we send 8 pigs from each group, each pen of each group, to the meat lab on St. Paul campus. And there we collected this is the pH, this is 45 minutes. And we also measure the back fat, and we measure the color, the second, I think we measured the color of the loin, and also the toughness, the shear force. The shear force will be measured later. So all those data are collected at the meat lab on the focal pigs, 8 pigs per pen. And we send the rest of the pig to Hormel, and there they gave us carcass weight, so we can measure the dressing percentage, which is the carcass weight divided by the live weight. And we also get the back fat thickness from Hormel. So those are the carcass data. The only thing we haven't done is the taste panel. We'll do that.
And the data says that there's no difference between corn fed and hybrid rye.
Right. So far, the pigs, the 2 pens of pigs, the live final body weight are similar, the feed intake are similar, and all the carcass data we collected so far, we haven't seen the difference. That's a raw average, because as I said, we can't do the statistical analysis so far.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for the question. So these two are our graduate students. We have been weighing pigs in the snow, in the cold winter. So this kind of, we want farmers know whether they should grow a hybrid rye for their pigs. And from the preliminary data, we feel like, yes, hybrid rye is better than camelina so far. Sorry about that, but I mean, at least the raw camelina. So it's a good energy ingredient because, we didn't add any oil or whatever to compensate the energy difference between the control and the treatment diet. We just replaced 50% of corn with hybrid rye, and we didn't see any difference in terms of feed intake and growth performance, feed efficiency. So we think it's very safe to replace 50% of corn from the control diet. And also, we probably all know hybrid rye is different from rye, from the traditional rye. The anti-nutritional factor, especially ergot, is very low. It's lower than the threshold for pigs, and it's very palatable. We didn't see any effect on feed intake. So far, we didn't see any negative effect on growth performance. So we feel like the hybrid rye yield was kind of high, but I think it's kind of probably normal. I don't know. We'll see what yield we will have this year. So far we see about 100 bushel per acre. And that 100 bushel per acre hybrid rye can feed 25 pigs per acre, roughly. Can feed 25 pigs if we replace 50% of corn in the diet. And here's the calculation where that 25 pigs come from. Basically, each growth finishing pig, we talk about growth finishing pigs, each growth finishing pigs eat about 600 pound feed. So we usually say three growth finishing pigs eat 1 ton of pig. So each 1 ton feed, if you want to save feed cost, you should target growth finishing pigs because they eat most. So most pig diet, we put 70% of corn in it and roughly 30% of corn soybean, 30% soybean meal. As pig grow, we increase energy. They need more energy, just like people. They grow more fat than meat, than muscle. So as they grow, we put more corn and less soybean meal. But roughly over that period, we just kind of do the feed budget. We use 70% corn, 30% of soybean meal. So if we use that 70%, which means they need 420 pound corn. And if we replace 50% of that, we're replacing 210 pounds corn. And that 200 all change to bushel, and then we calculate that probably 100 bushel of hybrid rye will feed about 26 pigs. So roughly, I roundly say 25, kind of easy to remember. So here's this kind of calculation on saving on feed cost. If we use the same number, 210 pounds of corn be replaced, and then this is the corn price last year. This is the price, organic corn price on December 2022. So basically it's $11 per bushel, $11.5 per bushel. And then that's for the whole, 70% of corn, or 420 pounds corn. So if we reduce that into half, which means we save $43 per pig, just because we don't have to buy that 210 pounds corn for each pig. And then we calculated about the money of revenue we may make by growing hybrid rye. And we say if we save $43 per pig on corn, and each acre of our hybrid rye can feed 25 pigs, as we said before. So that save us about $1,100 on feed or on corn. But I want to mention that here we do buy organic corn to feed our pigs. So that's basically, we don't have spent that 1,100. And then I got this number, the growing cost of our organic hybrid rye from Bill. It's kind of roughly estimated. And I got the seed cost of hybrid rye. This is for organic seed, organic hybrid rye seed. I got this number from Albert Lee, KWS. They told me each acre costs $65 for seed. So put these two things together, I got about $600 per acre cost. That's a production cost. And then use that 1,100 minus 600, I got about 500 per acre saving on feed. Is that clear?
What's the 423 growing cost? What's, is most of that manure, the cost of the manure, organic, the manure is coming in?
I think, Bill, could you help me on that? Bill,
Yeah, can you hear me? Yeah, that's FinBin number. They have an enterprise report for organic rye. It's not very many farms, but yeah, that's from there. They actually have the 2022 data is out now just recently, and so there's you go to FinBin, there's I think like 12 records for 12 farm times year numbers for 2019 to 22. So 2022. So that's what that's from.
I know, but what would it be, Bill, in terms of the cost of the manure? Are some farmers using organic manure?
I suppose, yeah, of course, FinBin doesn't give you all of the details on input quantities and prices. But that's what people reported. Total cost, direct cost for seed and everything, land rent, labor management, equipment depreciation.
Well, our first production of Kernza at Rosemont or Patagonia, we had to use organic. Oh, that's not true. No, I'm wrong on that. That's not true.
Yeah, there is a fertility cost in there. I don't remember exactly what it is, but it's probably manure, purchased manure or something, or costed.
How much is purchased manure?
It depends. I mean, most operations, I would assume most organic operations probably have their own manure. So it's really just the application cost.
I'm looking at the FinBin report right now. I just brought it up for organic rye. And direct expenses include the seed, fertilizer, crop insurance, fuel and oil repairs, land rent. So I'm thinking all of this is really associated with the plant, field seedbed prep, planting, and the management of the crop. But the fertilizer expenses are only $18 per acre.
It's probably just like application costs.
Yeah.
And they're assuming the manure is free.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah, Carmen had a message there. It's current value of NP and K.
And it really depends for manure. If you already have lots of P and K in the soil, then it's really only the nitrogen.
It has only come from 22 farms. Oh, 8, sorry, 8 farms.
Carmen, what do you think? That's the best answer I've ever heard from you, Carmen.
So I hope, Don, you didn't direct any question to me, right?
Well, I could, but
So
Yeah, so-
good about this slide.
Well, and again, I mean, is a story that based on the system that feeding hybrid rye
Mhm.
pigs appears to be at this stage a viable venture. Is that what it all says? The manure costs though still haunt me a little bit in terms of,
I'm not
Yeah.
sure about,
but if you don't have it,
right, I need to, I think Bill gave me the spreadsheet, it's kind of complicated to me. So I try to put everything together, so that's 423, and I need to look at that. I believe there's some manure application as well, but I don't know whether that's a machine for manure spreading or that's I need to look closer. But I
Jake
uh-huh.
Jake said he just looked it up and it was only, the manure only cost $18 in the spreadsheet, right? Yeah, so that would be what application cost,
But you
right?
also said the seed costs were included too.
That's in a different category. Yeah.
Oh, it's
They
different
estimate $50 for seed cost, which is very close to. A question about the value, the savings per pig. So $43 savings per pig. On a relative basis to the value of the pig, what is that? What percentage of savings is that? Relative to like the whole cost of price of the pig? The pig cost.
So what that question is?
Yeah, $43 of savings per pig. On a percentage basis, how much is that? Relative to the whole value of.
Sure. So I think I calculated yesterday, you know, if we feed pigs corn soybean meal and we need $86 for the corn. And I think my calculation about soybean, because we pay $1,700 per ton of soybean meal. And I think we have to pay something like 100. I think yesterday I calculated, looks like close to $200 organic feed per pig. So that probably about 25%, I'm thinking, roughly.
And Yuzhi, this is assuming that you're gonna purchase the corn and not grow it yourself, but you
Right,
are.
that's a very good point. Yes, this is compared to purchasing. And this is what we are doing here. So when I present this to our director of operation, and he said, oh yeah, we are going to grow more, whatever, because this is compared to purchasing.
Yeah, but you always have to consider the economists on the opportunity costs have to be included.
That's my question. I switched computers in my mic. If you can hear me now, what do you consider the organic market value of organic rye if you were to market it versus feeding it yourself? Because there is, like Don just said, an opportunity cost here.
Right, I think I have a slide here, organic rye. So if you sell it, I think this is the data from December 2022, the USDA Agricultural Market Service, AMS data. So at that time, it was $7.5 per bushel for organic rye.
Okay.
And it's lower, cheaper than organic corn, at least at that time. So I don't understand opportunity cost or whatever, but it looks to me, it's cheaper compared to corn. And it's, I feel like, oh, wow, it worthwhile to do it, to grow it.
Yeah.
But if you're a grain grower and you're not feeding your grain, then you have to look at that comparison of the return to that grain farmer, comparing the production of organic rye to that of corn, right?
True, and another thing, I think if you're a green grower, you can also sell organic straw.
Yeah,
And we
right.
pay a lot of money here in Morris for organic straw. We have meetings, we have a lot of meetings to discuss how to save money on organic straw.
But you also have to replace the nutrients that you're exporting with that straw if you're exporting that off of the farm.
That's a good point. And I hope Melissa or the agronomist will help me to solve that problem.
Uh, What I still don't get is how you arrived at that $43 savings. Now, if you said it and I missed it, I'll go over and look at the recordings, but I'm still not clear on how you arrived at that $43 savings.
So that, I think if you think, to me, I think I roughly calculated the feed cost for a pig, or finishing pig.
Okay,
I think it's about, I believe it's about 200 something.
okay,
And then that $45 probably is about 25% of the total cost.
okay.
I
So,
believe.
so what you're saying is by feeding 50% rye, you're saving $43 on feed costs, or not $43 on feed costs, but $43 on total production costs.
Yeah, I think I could probably safe to say that simply because it didn't affect pig growth performance. Yeah, so I think we could say that.
Okay.
This is going to encourage Carmen to get back into the hog business.
I think I will do a kind of detailed calculation and probably give you a more accurate number.
I was just looking at fin bin, for wean to finish hogs, the feed cost last year was $107 per head.
Is that organic?
No, that's conventional, yeah.
That's true.
Okay.
So I would say organic at least double or even 3 times. So I think my calculation is
I think the other important thing to remember is right now, West Central Rock is purchasing all of their feed from off station. So that $43 is saying, because they grew their own rye and replaced the feed that they usually purchase, they save $43 per pig.
Yeah, but that's not what it happened for a farmer.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
I think that's the thing that needs to be laid out.
I agree, absolutely.
exactly. I know. I know. So, but that's
So
what
the value of the rye needs to be worked into that calculation. Right, I think.
And if you said it, I missed it. When you look at production costs for corn versus rye, there's got to be a significant difference in production costs of those two crops. A much less expensive crop to grow is the rye.
is that right? I didn't get the production cost for corn because we do not produce organic corn here. I think our
Okay.
corn is kind of chopped for silage.
Okay,
So I don't have that. So basically we buy organic corn, organic soybean meal, and organic straw.
good. So, because what I'm saying is if you, for the farmer who's going to do this, I think there would be significant savings on the production cost for the feed grain.
Okay.
And that's where I think you could generate some better profits even than you are now, because it's obviously a whole lot less cost of production for the rye than it would be the corn.
Oh, is that right? Oh, that's good to know. And I think another thing for organic farmers, they really like a rotation, diverse rotation. They don't like, I don't see any organic farmers rotate, just do a corn soybean. They always have some other
They
crops.
can't be certified organic on a 2-crop system.
Exactly.
That depends. We won't go into that, but there are some people sort of short circuiting that, and obviously I don't like it, but that's another story.
I think we should throw them in jail.
Okay.
Oh, I forgot this is being recorded.
That's-
So I don't know the cost, it's kind of roughly estimate and based on 1 year data. So I think, I just estimated compared to purchasing, we save about 500 on feed and 250 on straw. So here's the saving on straw. We calculated, 1.8 ton per acre, and
Right.
we bought organic straw here at $150.
Mhm.
And then here for organic pigs, we pay $17 per pig for straw bedding.
Yes.
That's
Right.
that's a lot of money. You think that's $17 per pig? And for conventional pig production, each pig probably just gave us about $10 profit.
But if you take the manure now that you get from that straw that you purchased, put a value on that because you're going to put that back on your land as a fertility source, you are actually lowering some of your fertility costs.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for helping me think that broad. My vision is much narrower. I'm learning it. I'm getting better.
Okay.
Thank you. That's a good point.
Yeah, no question about it. And then I think Bill Lazarus would have some production costs of corn versus small grains. And that would be some numbers you could use, I'm sure.
Sure. I haven't really, Bill and I haven't really worked on this yet because we are still waiting for more data. So this is really kind of preliminary, just, talk to the internal group or whatever. We haven't really, published this because it's not the final.
Kim's got his hand up.
Thank you. So basically I put everything together, say the bedding, the cost of bedding, I put $20 here because we were thinking we swath and we combine the beddings there. The only cost is to bale it. And that's $20 per acre. Okay, but that's where that come from. So, and then we say $250 saving, basically generate $270 revenue on straw, and then minus the cost is $250 to make on straw. So put together, I put $738 saving in total. That's kind of roughly just say 700. And there are a lot of other factors we need to consider. And then I'm kind of nervous about presenting this to farmers. I don't want to send a wrong message and say, oh, why, if I grow organic hybrid rye, it save me a lot of money on pig feed and bedding. So I want to be careful, cautious about that. And I say, yeah, the organic hybrid rye yield was pretty high. We got 100 bushels, 104, above 100. And versus Bill's Finbin data, at least when Bill gave me this data, this is based on 2019 to 2021, I believe, only 3 years data, yes. It was 43 bushels. That's traditional. I believe that's not hybrid rye, that's traditional rye. So it's the traditional yield is much lower. And another thing is the organic straw was very expensive. That's why we had meetings all the time to talk about organic straw purchasing. And another, the price for organic corn, organic hybrid rye, I put it here just for your information.
Good.
And then we talk about the other potentials of hybrid rye. I talk about the intrinsic phytase already, and that also poor quality. We are doing it. We haven't done a taste panel yet, we are going to do 3 more groups next year, starting the fall after we harvest the rye this year, and then we'll do another 3 groups. So another thing about including hybrid rye into the crop rotation, we definitely increase the diversity of crop rotation, and that will, help with soil health, weed control, or long-term yield. Everyone in this room probably know much better than I do in this area. I think that's all I have. And then I'd like to show you some pictures of the pig trial. We weigh pigs in, in winter in snow. And yeah, that's a fun part of the organic pig production. That's all from me.
Well, thank you very much, and to the entire team. This is great to get an update on the project, and the Forever Green initiative, and the commercialization team is very interested in staying engaged to figure out if this is going to move forward, how we might be in a position to help think through with the supply chain for the development of hybrid rye as a potential source as feed for the swine industry. And we all know it's one thing to grow it, but it's another thing to get it mainstreamed as a feed source in many cases the larger swine producers. So at this stage, are there any comments, questions that are left online? Tim?
Yeah, I had a question. First I want to compliment Yuzhi, really nice work. And I enjoyed listening to it because I worked on grain improvement and soybean and all of that, those anti-nutrients, amino acid balance, and they come very close and reminding me. I immediately am thinking about how this can be improved, but I only know of either biotech or genetic ways, and organic market probably wouldn't accept either approach. So I hope that at some point, your work will go beyond the organic market, and I hope economic works in that market as well. So I have a couple of questions. It's my understanding that the straw not only was used for bedding, but also in the feed, right? But it's a relatively small ingredient in the feed. Is that accurate?
You mean the straw?
Yeah.
For pigs, we don't add straw in the feed, but they do, they eat straw just for fun or whatever, because when they do just, but we don't add. I don't think they really get nutrients.
It doesn't have nutritional value, right? It sounds like, okay. So one of my questions was the distribution of value between the straw and the grain. And I think on one of the slides I've seen some like 700 versus 250, something like that.
Yes. So the green, at least for pigs, when they use hybrid rye for pigs, and my calculation is $488 saving on feed, and $250 on straw, and that based on the price last year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's helpful. At least it suggests that straw is also rather valuable and contributes to the economic bottom line, correct?
That's true. For swine production, the confinement swine production does not use straw at all. You probably know they use a slatted floor, and all the manure goes to the pits underneath. So they don't need straw at all. Only the organic pig production needs straw, and that's an extra cost. We pay $17 per pig for organic straw.
I see. And that number 250 was net of the logistics, transportation, harvest, and everything for the straw, right? Because it's large volume.
We didn't put transport costs into it because it's here. It's on our farm.
Okay. Gotcha. The other question I wanted to understand is the opportunity cost, but the one that's related to crop rotation. Because if you harvest it in like July 20th, then there is something else that, you know, it's bumping another crop, right? So something has to follow hybrid rye after harvest, and obviously because it's late harvest, the farmer lost an opportunity to grow maybe something else, maybe organic corn, maybe something else. How does that fit into the whole system?
I think we grow oats after that, and then they chop it. I believe they chop as silage. Does that make sense to you? That I think that's what I was told. I did ask her about that. So for 2021, before we planted, or we grew corn. I don't remember. I think we grew something. We grew something, and they chop it as silage, I believe. Before the hybrid rye, I have a note here, and we grow oats, organic oats, because this is organic land. Everything is organic. And after that, we may grow corn. I forgot. Either corn or oat, and then they chop it as silage.
Oh, okay. The same year, is that right? They harvest them.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
They grow something and then as silage, but I need to figure out.
And then organic hybrid rye can be replanted in the fall again then?
Say that again?
And it can be followed by this hybrid rye again, is that right? Another winter season of hybrid rye? After that corn.
The organic certificate, you can speak to it, Carmen. The organic certification does not allow rye on rye, right?
We didn't grow hybrid rye on the same field the second year. So we used one plot for 2021. And then last year in 2022, we used a different field, organic field, to grow hybrid rye. So we didn't use the same field. Is that the question you were asking?
Yeah. What I heard is that it's not a good idea to plant rye on every winter, right? Because you want to properly rotate it. Yeah.
Right.
Organic
Yes.
certification wouldn't allow it, right, Carmen?
Correct. You can't grow the same crop 2 years in a row. You have to have some minimal rotation, for sure. But speaking to that, though, what we're learning on the farm here is that after the small grain, we will put in a good cover crop of turnips, radishes, field peas, sunflowers, a couple of these things. And then in late October, we can graze cattle on that field for a good month to a month and a half. Or if you wanted to turn your hogs out there and graze that cover crop, you're getting the second use on that acreage, plus you're building the fertility for the next year's crop, which many times is going to be corn. And so you've really built up your fertility needs already for that high end using nitrogen corn.
That's cool. What organic crops have been used in those experiments or grow outs? What cover crops?
Here in Morris, you're talking about? Or that question is for Carmen.
For Carmen.
How about what combinations of crops are you using, Carmen, in the fall planting?
What we'll use a turnip, a red turnip radish, or a purple top turnip, a tillage radish, 1 or 2 varieties of field peas, and sunflower. And then the volunteer grain that comes back, that blows out over the back of the combine. And we've grazed cattle on that 2 or 3 years in a row, and we've been able to give them adequate feed for at least 30 to 45 days in the fall.
Okay. Well, thank you. That answered my questions.
Thank you for the question. Thanks, Carmen.
Yeah, usually one other thing, I think, even though we still have to crunch some numbers, I think the big breakthrough here is the rate of gain that you're getting with that hybrid rye. I think that absolutely opens the door for another crop in an organic system that needs that third crop of rotation. And you're not sacrificing yield on those hogs. So I think if we get those other numbers put together, I think you've got something good going here.
Thank you, really. You know, our graduate students always say, hey, our rye pigs look better. And I feel that way too. But, you know, at least there's no sacrifice, no setback at all. It's, yeah.
That rate of gain, any hog producer will tell you that's key.
Yeah. Thank you. That's great. I really appreciate the opportunity and everyone's question. And yeah, and I enjoy collaboration with the agronomists. I learned a lot from you guys, and I look forward to working with you too. Actually, I was at the hazelnuts presentation, and I wanted to feed hazelnuts to my pigs, organic pigs, and I did some digging, and looks like I couldn't find enough hazelnuts for pigs because pigs eat a lot. So whatever you grow, remember I'm here with a lot of pigs and can eat whatever you grow as long as they're good enough for pigs.
I was just thinking back and when I introduced your program as a USDA program, just so you guys all know how embarrassing that is to me, because I'm the guy that negotiated the funding for your program initially in the legislative process.
Oh, wow. Thank you. I
And
appreciate
I
that.
was, and Carmen knows this, right? Carmen was smiling, I'm sure, knowing that I'm the guy that negotiated the
Wow.
funding for your program and was the chair of the first alternative swine task force.
Sure. Thank you for that. Yeah, so we are doing better now. You know, finally we got to fund it.
Well, the reason that I did that, just so you guys know, Frank Porcello, I was talking to him, right? And so I sat down over here, and I think that's why that came out of my mouth that way, because I had just been talking for a half hour to Frank. So
That's, yeah, Frank was the one.
or as Carmen would say, maybe it's just the age.
Yeah, but I think you've got a lot to be proud of by the fact that you're the only people doing research on organic swine production. That is fabulous.
Thank you, Carmen. Thank you for your great encouragement and support. And I really appreciate all the support and information from this group.
Well, thank you for bringing all this new information, and we'd love to stay in contact with, and we're always available with the team to be supportive of your work. Call on us anytime that you think that we could be helpful.
Sure. Thank you so much. Bye.
And thanks to everyone that stayed with us, and appreciate your contributions to the conversation, and